Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Case management is really vast subject, so I would be dividing into smaller parts and make you understand. So let's get started. So what is case type? Actually, what it is meant for? Normally we do have some business criteria or some business functionality. So we want to represent it in one form. So in that process, our case type saves a lot of time and the efficiency of the implementation for the respective business lines or the process will be maximized, and you can term it like a case type is a visual representation of your business process and how and what we need to configure this case type. I will take you through. As said in agenda, we can create case type. Here if you click on add case type, and if you give some name, and you have to specify which class you want to create a case type and what is the inheritance you want to give for the respective case type, and click submit. A case type would be created. So if you go through here, if you see here, this is a case type, and this is a stage. These are the steps in a case type, and we can give alternate stages also. So what is this actually? So think you are having a registration scenario where you need to provide users with some inputs. Later you have to send some email, or you have to send some generate some PDF and send some email to the user, and a particular manager or supervisor needs to approve that, and again after the approval we would be creating a record for the respective user, and we would be giving some access or some other things to the user. So if you see this, we know what is a business scenario. So for that we can divide a particular business scenario into different stages. So this is one stage, and you can add multiple stages if this particular manager or supervisor have seen the documents provided by the user and felt that particular user is having some faulty records, or he or she is not eligible to use this particular system, so then you want to make a reject. So then you can define some alternate stage as a reject. So for here in reject also, if you want to send some information, yeah, you can configure here. So as I said, like these are the stages and this is alternate stage. So in stages we can add steps, a series of steps. There is no limitation to it. So PEGA has given some OOTB. Now if I go here, step here, see collect information, approve or reject, multi-step form. These are OOTB things. So if you just click on this and save your particular stage in the process, in backend an assignment would be created, and that assignment will be redirected to the current operator. And if you want some advanced shapes, click on more and see here processes, in essence the existing processes that are there in the system. So these two are flows that are there in the system, and you can see here something called as automations. So in automations you have many features provided by PEGA. Like suppose if you want to attach a content to a case, suppose if you want to change the stage, so from one stage to we can change another stage by using this. So if I give this for example, I can click select and I can specify which stage I want. Suppose if I want to create a case, and if I want to create a PDF, suppose if I want to generate a document, suppose there's some post to pulse, push notification, questions, questionnaire, if you want to run some background. So like that PEGA has provided n number of features over here. So we no need to go to a process and configure this. And another thing, suppose I'm having a weight sheet and selected this. Okay, now I'm giving some option over here, and I'm just clicking save. See, here reject flow is created, and in this flow, the automation that I have added is already added to the process directly. So this is the useful way. Suppose if you don't want to add something over here, just you can go to the process, and in process if you can click on this, and if you add something over here, suppose I want to add some automation over here. Attach content, and I want to delete this over here. I'm clicking save. Okay, I'm checking in this. Make sure that your flow draft mode is off. It's a good practice to make flows in draft mode off. Now I'm going to share some steps. I'm going here, actions, refresh. See, I have just created a flow, and in that flow I have added attached content, so it has reflected here. So in this these two are interlinked, so in the process if you add some automations, it would be automatically populated over here. So this is nothing but a stage, and this is nothing but a step. So now you have a case type, and you have configured some stages, alternate stages, steps. But how, what is the background process, how it is working in this way? So what if you want to create a particular case and create a particular child case? So what is the back end process of this? So if I go to case type, open. If you see here, this is the case type configuration, and see in case, so we can provide some flow actions for this respective case. So those are nothing but case word actions. Only for this particular case we can add some flow actions like alternates. Suppose if you want another case as a child case to this, you can give the name of the case type over here. Suppose April registration is a child case. If I want to click make it a child case, I can give this. And data propagation, data propagation is nothing but, suppose you are creating a parent case. For that you are adding some April registration as a child case, and you want to set few values on child case with the values of parent case. Then you can propagate a few values from parent to child. Then you can specify what are the values you want to pass on through to the child case. Suppose if there are more properties, it's good advice to use apply data transform and create a data transform, and propagate the data from parent case to child case. Here we have only option from parent to child. From child to parent, we don't have any option over here, but we can propagate data from child case to parent case. Once child case is resolved, we can propagate to some automations that are available in PEGA. So if you see, these are the stages. So this is the stage. So there is something called as set case status on stage entry. So few of the cases you can set as a resolved withdrawn if some cases are withdrawn. On the starting of the case, to differentiate the which stage it is, you can differentiate with setting the case status. So you can differentiate like in which particular stage your respective case is there with this set case status. And here if you see, the create stage automatically moves to the next stage. So if I added some other primary stages here, I can add some case, and see if you want to skip this respective stage based on some condition, you can give that particular condition over here. And if you want to move automatically, you can give this. If you want to resolve the case once it landed in this stage, you can give this. And see, you can see the resolution status also. If there are any child cases and you want to resolve child cases when the parent case is resolved, you can select this option and you can set status of child case here itself. And if you want the user to move it to the next stage, then it is better to use this option, wait for user action. As I have said earlier, for the case, you can have case-wide actions, and for the stages also, we can have stage-wide actions. If you see here optional actions, these are nothing but the flow actions that we can give. So case-wide actions and stage-wide actions are different. Don't get confused over that. And there is an advanced step. In this, if you see locking mechanism, allow one user, allow multiple users working on a case, and you don't want one user to access the case, one other user is accessing that, then you can restrict it by giving this as allow one user. There is some option called as optimistic locking, like default locking. Allow one user is default locking, optimistic locking is allow multiple users. If you give this, you can see here the user who submits the case for the first time will acquire the lock. So the second user has to refresh the case to view the changes done by the first user. So this is optimistic locking and this is default locking. And in default locking, the basic default is 30 minutes. If you want it to get decreased, you can give the minutes over here. And you can see this option, right? Do not lock the parent case when the child case is being performed. So this option will be considered only if our locking mode is default locking, like allow one user. If I give this allow multiple users, this won't be taken into consideration. So you have to be make sure like what is the relationship between child case and parent case locking and how we can play around this. And previously we used to have some option called as persist a case. Persist a case is nothing but suppose you have gone to a railway ticket inquiry system, search a train, and you have selected a date and you have selected some coach, and you have went until payment, but you did not did any payment. Just you have seen how much cost or how much gateway charges they are levying on you, and you have inquired it and you have gone back to the home screen. So there is no necessity for IRCTC to maintain the respective transaction record. So in this scenario, this particular data can be cleared off once you have logged out. So there is no necessity for the respective team to carry all the data temporary cases. So that's why in PEGA there used to be an option called as persistence. So persistence case is a shape where once user submits all the values and clicks finish, then we would be creating a real case to the system, so that we would be avoiding creation of dummy cases or junk cases in our system. From 8.6, this particular option is deprecated. So this is an important interview question for you guys, which would be so what is the back end, how it is happening. So if I go to app, data model, data transfer, this py default is the data transform where you can set some values on your respective case. Suppose you are having an option like now you want to create case with like R123 and some unique case ID. Okay, so this unique case ID is nothing but our PYD, and this R dash 123 is our work ID prefix. Okay, suppose you are having a scenario. Suppose you are creating cases in 2022, so you want cases like R dash 2022 hyphen unique cases, unique case ID. Now cases created in 2023 should have this. So what you do, so if you go here application definition, go to cases and data, see here I can give work ID prefix as this and this checkbox to indicate that from the end users can create this. So when I create a registration case, it checks here and it says like work ID prefix is R dash. So it creates r dash 1 2 3 for example. But how I can specify this particular combination, how I can give work id prefix, another thing. For that purpose we can use this default data transform. Here you can set p by work id prefix, right? So here you can give with some function, like here you can give some current date time, and in this current date it would return the particular year also. From this we can get the data also, so like this. So if you want to set some default values on the case, it's better to set those values in our p by default data transform. And there is some other flow where the particular case would be initiated. That is nothing but py start case. So this py start case is very important. The user clicks on create case. This py start case would be invoked in the backend. And here if you see case processing will be started with this px start case type OOTB rule, and it would initiate the first stage on your case type. See, this is a OOTB activity. So there are some OOTB activities that are very helpful for us while we are learning about case management. Some of them I have listed here, like ad hoc. Suppose you are in a process and you want to create a new case, you can just give ad hoc in your activity such that it would create a new case. This is px add child work. Suppose if you want to initiate some child case to the respective parent case, you can use this. And if you want to change the stage through an activity or a utility, you can use this. And if you want to initialize the stage like how it is here, you can use this. So if I go to an activity here, work, see, and it would be having many parameters like what is our cover page, what is our folder key, and what are the parameters you have to pass. It's good to see the history of the ad work. See, it adds a new work object and it saves px add child work. This is to initiate a child case type. So there is a parent case, and that parent case is having some 5 child cases. How you will differentiate, like know for this respective parent case how many child cases are there? Okay, if I go there, go here and go to clipboard, go to PO page. See here px covered count. This px covered count is a property that determines, like for our registration case, how many child cases are there. Okay, and how many open child cases are there, you can determine from px covered count open. And our particular parent case pizza dynasty would be here. Okay, and if a child case is created, then the child case will have details of parent case also. So here if you see the parent case py work page consists pizza dynasty of dash 5001. Suppose you created a child case called approve registration and it is APR 123. So APR 123 PY work page will be child case info. Okay, R dash 123, which is parent of APR 123, details will be on PY work cover. So once you create a child case, you can see PY work page and PY work cover. PY work page consists of data related to child case. PY work cover consists of data related to child case. As I have said, these are some of the OOTB properties that are useful, like PX covered count open, PYID, PY status work. This is temporary object. For our case configuration, we have made it as false. Now if I go back to the case tab and click layer, and if you see there are some settings over here. In settings there are many options. I would be covering those in next series of videos. And here if you see, you can set your locking mechanism here itself. Don't get confused with the view of this. Suppose if you go to a case tab and just give a left click, you can see this kind of user interface. And if you actually want to open and do some changes, go for right click, open, then you can see this type of window. and you can configure stages here or there. It is up to you. I'm going back to stages and steps configuration. If you see here, we can start a stage where conditionally by giving this, and there is something called as stage level SLAs also, where you can define some SLAs for the respective stage as well, and you can delete a step in a stage by giving this option, or by editing the flow uh, user has given. This is all about our stage configuration, step configuration, and our start data transform, and our start flow of a case, and different locking mechanisms that are there, and a few of the important OOTB activities and properties that we need to keep in mind while we are doing case management. I don't want to rush. Please go through this video and correlate with your existing application to get better idea. Thank you. Happy learning. Please watch, subscribe, and share to your colleagues.